I see you was talking about the FBA movement and all that, and it was my first time hearing about it, so I'm really trying to understand like that whole movement and everything that's going on there.
Well, the first thing I would ask you is, where's your family from?
My family is from Haiti. Yeah, my parents and shit is they from Haiti.
Okay, so well, first thing I would say is FBA is not a movement. FBA is simply a lineage. That's all FBA
Mm-hmm.
is. It's not a movement. It's not an ideology. I think it kind of get lost in translation because what I will say is this. Well, how old are you, Jordan?
1919.
Okay, 19. So what you're gonna see a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times on the internet with the FBA stuff is you're gonna see a lot of people who are speaking, and that's not what the majority of the masses think. That's usually what you see online. You see a lot of people who say a bunch of wild shit, they say a bunch of crazy shit, and that gets thrown over to what the average person thinks. So I just want to make
Okay,
sure I get you
wait,
that. Go
but
ahead.
I'm not trying to cut you off, but I did see the thing on TikTok where they was talking about black people are Indians and this, that, the third. I know that those things can often get,
Yeah,
intertwined and misconstrued. So,
yeah.
you know.
So I mean, even with that, so there are some. Okay, so and actually even to that point, I think people over exaggerate that. You do
Mm-hmm.
have some native tribes that were black people, and what you had
Mm-hmm.
is you had a people, which is what my people. We had a ethnogenesis, and basically what it is there was a small percentage of African slaves who came over to America through the transatlantic
Mm-hmm.
slave trade, and then you had people who were from even red skin natives or the black natives of Indians who were here in America already, and they mixed in between them, the African immigrants who came over here, or I guess, yeah, not immigrants, but the African slaves that came over here, and then the white Europeans. So those people mixed in together and they created a new ethnic group, which is the majority of Black Americans. Now the thing is, not everybody has the same percentages of what they have. You know, you have people that have more
Mm-hmm.
African, you have people that have more Native American, Indian, you have more people that have more European. It just depends. But we are a new ethnic group. Now, the stuff that you see online a lot of times with this radical talk, that's the stuff that gets thrown over to the norm. So that's why I wanted to make sure that you understand that it's not a movement. It's not a movement. It's not an
Okay.
ideology. It's not a what you think or believe. It's simply a lineage. That's all it is. So just when you say that you're Haitian
Mm-hmm.
not because of the way that you think, not because of the way that you eat,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
because
yeah.
of who you sleep with, not because of the music you listen to, not because of your political affiliation. You're Haitian because your mother and your father are Haitian. Same logic
Yeah.
applies to foundational Black Americans. But the reason why we put the foundational there, the only reason why we do that is because a lot of people come over to America and they attach themselves onto Black American. They attach themselves onto
All
that.
right.
So we need to make sure that we make a distinction and say, look, we are a different ethnic group than you. I can't go to Haiti and say I'm Haitian. I can't.
But
So
hold on though. This is what I'm trying to understand
go
though.
ahead.
So, right, my parents they from there, right? But
Mm-hmm.
I was born and raised here, right? Boom. So once you get to like talking about, FBA, now I can completely respect and understand, you guys wanted to have your own representation, your own delineage. I can respect that. But my thing is with you is that I feel like you kind of ostracize like second generation people, like whether that be Africans or Caribbeans, because we really just grow up in the same environment and we all are treated as regular black people or like FBA people. You feel me? So I kind of like want to understand like your stance on that because I feel as if like I was raised in the FBA culture and bred in that culture as well. So
I mean,
I don't
well,
really know.
okay, not necessarily. I think I don't think it's fully because people understand that there's differences between Black Americans and people who come over
Oh,
here
then
that are
that's
immigrants.
true. That's
So,
true.
but I will say, to an extent, you're correct. A lot of you do grow up in in our communities. But I think the thing is, I don't know how long have you been watching my content?
I just started watching like 2 3 days ago, but I got a good gist of like who you are, and
Okay.
I'm not saying you're like a negative person, but I kind of just want to get on the more intricacies because I feel
Yeah.
like sometimes you do kind of like I wouldn't say attack like because like the tether thing and all that. Like I wouldn't say you attack people that are like African descent or Caribbean descent, but you kind of like speak in a derogatory manner. So I'm trying to like see the full extent of that, whether that be your personal experience with Africans or Caribbeans or quote unquote tethers. Like
Yeah.
I'm really trying to get a better understanding of that.
So let me explain something. First, if you've been watching my content enough, you'll understand. I've never, ever, 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 ever attacked Africans and Caribbeans as a whole. I almost say
No, no,
that
no,
in
you
every
not not
single.
fair. You always make that distinction. You always make that like line clear.
Yeah.
That's true. I will give you
So
your credit.
yeah, so I want to make sure that you understand it even more though. So
Hmm.
I always talk about people who are tethers. And a tether is
Okay.
not just because you're African, it's not because you're Caribbean. You could be an Asian and be a tether. A tether is anybody that
Okay.
comes from another country and comes over to America and has a negative disposition or disrespects black Americans with
Okay.
basically no warrant. So that's the reason why I call them out. So my energy and the way that I speak and things that I say is to them specifically, and I always make that distinction. I actually have a lot of people who are African and Caribbean or other ethnicities in general who actually watch my content. So
Okay.
I think the thing is you have to make sure that you listen and you make sure that if it doesn't apply, let it fly. That's so I never ever ever
All
want
right.
to ostracize all Africans and Caribbeans. I love Africans and Caribbeans. I think y'all have a beautiful culture. I think I think y'all have a beautiful history. But I think
Not
that
for
there is a
sure.
yeah, but I think that there is a portion of your community,
Hmm.
and it's not just Africans and Caribbeans. It's all these people who come over to America and they have a negative distinction, a negative disposition towards my people. And what I'm gonna
Okay.
do, I'm gonna make sure that shit gets checked. So I always make my energy towards them. So
No, that's facts. That's facts.
and let me say this real quick, Jordan, real quick,
Mm-hmm.
or Jordan. The same thing should apply with you. If somebody was to come over to, if I went over to Haiti and I was like, man, y'all Haitians dirty as hell. Y'all ain't shit. Fuck these Haitians. Y'all lazy. Y'all ain't shit.
I
And
be
think
hearing
about
that
this.
though.
I went to your homeland. I grew up around your people. I'm living and eating under y'all. I'm operating under y'all. I'm listening to y'all
Hmm.
music. I'm dressing like y'all. I'm talking like y'all. I'm sleeping with y'all's women. Everything else, I'm literally able to exist because of the Haitian community. But I have a negative
Hmm.
disposition towards them. I would expect Haitians to get on my motherfucking ass, as they should, because who
Nah,
am
that's
I
true.
to
That's
operate that
true.
way?
Now, I'm gonna ask you a question because I did watch one of your like past lives, and I
Mm-hmm.
seen that you said when you had your awakening to like understanding like what the FBA is or what like that distinction is when you went to New York. So can you explain like how that made you feel when you heard those people in New York like speak that the type of way they did about Black Americans?
I was at first I was indifferent about it because I was new to it. So when I first heard like
Or
some
like
of the,
what? Or my fault. What was your age? Sorry, too, as well.
I
Like when you went there.
was how old was I when I went to New York? Um, I was that was 2019. So I may have been 22, 23, 22.
Okay, all right,
Like
all right.
I think
Pretty,
I was anywhere between
pretty
21 and
young.
23. So anywhere between there.
All
Um,
right.
but yeah, at first I was indifferent about it because it was my first time ever hearing things like that. So at first I was indifferent about it, but I started to hear it so consistent. I'm like, hold on, why is he so disrespectful though? And I started to kind of do my
Mm,
research, and I'm like, okay, so this is what he was talking about, people like this. And that's when it started to click for
okay.
me, like, okay, because where I'm from in the Midwest, we don't have that many like immigrants. Like we don't. All of
Mm-hmm.
I'm from Cleveland, born and raised. I lived in Chicago, but I'm from
Okay.
Cleveland, born and raised. And in Cleveland, we have a lot of Latinos, but they live on the west side of Cleveland. They don't live on the
Oh,
east
okay.
side where everybody else live at. It's not a lot of them. So I never really had that much experience with Caribbeans and Africans until I went to New York. And when I went out there, that was my first time
Okay.
ever hearing like these people are lazy, they ain't shit, they ain't got no culture, they slaves.
That
And it's
is
like,
crazy
huh?
though. I don't respect none of that.
Yeah,
Because we all not not to say we all black, but we all is we all people, so you can't really talk. We all have our subset of degenerates in our own group.
exactly.
Because just how I like that you brought out a good point though, because a lot of these Africans or Nigerians, because even when my people talk crazy or I catch a Haitian talking crazy about the African American community, I always tell them that our country is crazy right now. Like you really can't say anything because look at our
Yeah,
country, look at the state of our country. And you're gonna
yeah,
come to the next man's country, then say this, that, third, lot dead people. Obviously, they're gonna feel the type of way, and I feel like that's why you guys have the label of tethered for them because you're really sucking off of their energy, and I understand that.
yeah,
And from where I grew up in South Florida. There's obviously a lot more
yeah. A lot of Caribbeans out
immigrant
there.
diversity.
Mm-hmm.
There's very true. So we kind of like I feel like the way you grew up is very interesting to me because you guys grew up in the Midwest where it's more black and white. Where right or
Mm-hmm.
in here in South Florida, it's more like everything is kind of like all mushed together. Like no one kind of thinks about like individualism. Like everyone kind of represents South Florida in a sense, which embroiders all types of different cultures. If that makes sense, like
Yeah.
we all like kind of have a little bit of Haitian lingo when we talk. We all kind of, you know some Hispanics. Like it's kind of like that. So when I heard you speaking like that, it was very interesting to me. And I just want to let you know though, but back in the days before Kodak was lit, a lot of people used to get on us for being Haitian or whatever. So I kind of also want to understand your outtake on people discriminating against Haitians or Africans. Even though like I do understand that roasting was a part of you guys' culture, and
Hmm.
people do that to build tougher skin. And obviously with me looking how I look, like obviously I had to go through that and
Yeah.
really like get tougher skin and really become a man. But for some people it could be very like disparaging and be like, you know what, I'm gonna create this divide and I'm gonna say FBs, FBA people or whatever they got going on and just disrespect them or like want to like foster a further hate.
Well, first I want to say we need more people like you because
Mm-hmm.
what you are is somebody who is first of all not a tether, but you're somebody that actually wants to ask questions. And that's
No,
something
for
that
sure.
we rarely get. So a lot of the divide comes from the fact that the conversation is not had in good faith. Usually you have these conversations a lot of times on Twitter, and what you'll see is
Yeah, Twitter.
people who come from other communities, and they'll come
That
in
shit.
and they're very disrespectful. They already come in with a negative disposition. They don't ask questions to come to a conclusion. And but I will say this on the flip side, what you also see a lot of times is Black Americans. They're so angry that even when someone does come in and try to ask a question with respect and actual grace, they're so angry that they'll respond with disrespect, and then it becomes a bickering problem instead of actually having a conversation. So
Yeah,
conversations like
yep.
this needs to be had. Now, you said as far as you kind of discrimination against like people who are different and jokes and shit. Yeah, I mean that's a part of
Yeah.
the that's well, let me say this. That's not exclusive to Black American culture. Let me explain why.
Mm-hmm.
Roasting, I will say, roasting, yeah. But I'll give you an example. If I was to move to Japan and I
Mm-hmm.
am the only Black American in Japan, I'm gonna get there's gonna be a lot of people that are gonna put a boundary between me and them, me and their children, right? Because I look different.
Yeah.
I don't have the same phenotype. I come from a different culture. I speak a different language. So there's going to be a big difference between the acceptance that I'm gonna get. So this operates anywhere. If you were to move to India, if you were to move to Japan, if you were to move to Eastern Europe, if you were to move
No, for
to
sure.
anywhere in this world, that's how it's going to be. But the thing is, and this is where I kind of, I have not say I disagree with you, but I disagree with a lot of people who have this rhetoric to say Black Americans aren't accepting. Because if you think about it, we are the most accepting group because everybody, Kodak Black, for an example, Kodak
Yeah,
Black
that
is
is true though.
successful.
That is
Yeah,
true.
Kodak Black is successful by getting around Black American culture. By the way, I fuck with Kodak. I love Kodak music.
Hey,
By the way, I
appreciate
ain't
that
gonna lie.
though. Appreciate that though. Yeah, big
Kodak
views.
Fire, Down to Live, my favorite album that he dropped. I know that whole fucking
Hey,
album by
hey,
heart.
hey, you know too. Hey,
Yeah, that's my
you
so
know.
Down to Live is my shit. But I needed something. But anyway, but
Yeah, I'll get
you
you.
get it, so you already know. But
Yeah.
I think we, even though there is a culture that we have and we roast each other and we roast everybody, not just because you
Hmm.
immigrant or you look different, we roast everybody. But
Yeah, that's for sure.
even with that, we still are very accepting, and I think we are accepting to a fault, and that's why you see the pushback that a lot of Black Americans have because we've been so
Hmm.
accepting of different people, not only just Africans, Caribbeans, Latinos, and we don't get on them enough.
Yeah,
White
yep.
people when they come in our communities, all these different people, and then it's always a once I get up, it's either I'm gonna shit on these people or I'm gonna act like my shit doesn't stink. Like, how you gonna come at me and you left your country in Mongolia and you left for a reason because y'all ain't shit. So that's kind of where the
That's true.
response comes in, and then it turns into a big old thing. So that's kind of where what I think that turns into.
Nah, I definitely agree with that. Like, people can definitely have a chance to, accept black people. Like, a lot of black people do accept a lot of different cultures. But before Kodak was late, I'm telling you, before Kodak was late, like 2012, before 2012, I'm telling you, if you was Haitian, bro, people didn't want to. I'm telling you, it was Haitian people in the class. They didn't want to say it was Haitian because if you say you was Haitian,
It's
you
gonna
was
get
getting you was getting roped like bro. people. I know Haitians that don't even want to act hate or they don't want to speak Creole because they want to like disassociate from being Haitian. They want to be like Black American. So I find that so interesting that like it could be the contrary. So I mean, I just wanted to get your opinions on that.